My father once told me I had expensive taste and a minimum wage brain. I was 19, standing in our avocado green kitchen, the one with the chipped Formica counters Mum refused to replace because we can't afford luxuries, holding my acceptance letter to NYU's business school like it was made of gold leaf and broken promises. Dad didn't even look up from his newspaper, just said it, like he was commenting on the weather. Expensive taste, minimum wage brain. Mum nodded from the sink, hands deep in soapy water, and added, in that soft, pitying voice that somehow cut deeper than his bluntness, "Honey, maybe community college would be more realistic for someone like you." Someone like me. I remember my hands shaking so hard the letter fluttered. I remember the exact pattern of water stains on our ceiling. I remember thinking, I will prove them wrong if it kills me. Fast forward 23 years. I'm sitting in a Tesla Model S, my Tesla, outside the same avocado green house, which looks even smaller and sadder than I remember. My company just closed a Series D funding round. Valuation, $45 million. $45 million. And I'm about to walk through that chipped front door for the first time in over 2 decades because my mother, the same woman who told me to be realistic, left me a voicemail last week that started with, "Sweetie, we need to talk about your success and what you owe us." Owe them. This is the story of how I handed my parents an invoice they never saw coming, itemized, calculated, and paid in full with the exact currency they taught me to value most. Cold, hard truth. If you've ever been underestimated by the people who were supposed to believe in you most, go ahead and hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you want to hear how this ends, because I promise you the payoff is chef's kiss satisfying. And buckle up, because this one's a long ride and every single minute is worth it. Let me take you back, way back. To understand why that voicemail made my blood pressure spike so high my Apple Watch sent me a health alert, you need to understand what growing up in the Chen household was like. My parents, Robert and Linda Chen, immigrated from Taiwan in the early 80s with 2 suitcases, a double degree in engineering between them, and the kind of bone-deep scarcity mindset that no amount of middle-class American comfort could ever quite erase. Dad got a job at a manufacturing plant. Mum worked as a bookkeeper for a dentist's office. We lived in a modest 3-bedroom ranch in suburban New Jersey, the kind of place where the neighbors all had the same mailbox and the same chain-link fence, and the same unspoken agreement that keeping up with the Joneses meant staying exactly level with them, never above, never below. Stability was God. Risk was sin. And I, little Stephanie Chen, their only daughter, committed the cardinal sin early and often. I wanted more. Not in a spoiled, bratty way, I just saw possibilities everywhere. At 12, I started a business selling friendship bracelets at school, made $20 a week until the principal shut me down for unauthorized commercial activity. At 15, I taught myself basic coding and built a website for our neighbor's dog grooming business. Charged $50. She sent me clients. I made $300 in a month. I thought my parents would be proud. Instead, Dad sat me down at the kitchen table. That table, the one with the wobbly leg Mum shoved a folded napkin under, and said, "Stephanie, you need to focus on school, not these silly projects." Silly. Mum added, "You're spreading yourself too thin, honey. What if your grades slip?" My grades never slipped. I had a 4.0. But that didn't matter because in their eyes, ambition was just a nice word for distraction, and distraction was the enemy of security. When I got into NYU, full ride, academic scholarship, I thought finally, they'll see I'm capable. Finally, they'll be proud. I remember running into the kitchen, waving that letter like a flag. Mum was washing dishes. Dad was reading the paper. Classic Chen family tableau. I said, "I got in. Full scholarship. I'm going to study business and entrepreneurship." Silence. Not the good kind. The heavy kind, where you can feel disappointment pressing down on your chest like a weighted blanket made of lead. Dad folded his newspaper, looked at me, and said it. Stephanie, you have expensive taste and a minimum wage brain. Business school? You'll just end up in debt, chasing dreams that don't pay bills. Mum, softer, deadlier. Maybe community college, honey. Something stable. Accounting, maybe. You're good with numbers. I felt my whole body go cold, then hot, then cold again. I said, it's a full scholarship. It won't cost you anything. Dad, it'll cost you 4 years you could spend getting a real job. Mum, we just want what's best for you, sweetie. I went to NYU anyway, packed my stuff in a duffel bag, took the train into the city, and didn't come home for Thanksgiving that year. Or Christmas, or the year after that. My parents and I entered what I call the polite estrangement phase. We exchanged birthday cards, occasional emails, surface-level phone calls where Mum asked if I was eating enough and Dad asked if I'd gotten that business nonsense out of my system yet. I stopped telling them about my life, because every accomplishment I shared was met with, "That's nice, honey, but is it stable? Are you making enough to save for retirement? You know, it's not too late to get a normal job." So I just stopped. I built my life in silence. Here's what they didn't know. After NYU, I worked 3 jobs: barista by morning, freelance web developer by afternoon, data analyst contractor at night. I slept 4 hours if I was lucky. I ate dollar slice pizza and bananas for 18 months straight. I had $700 in my bank account and an idea I couldn't let go of. A SaaS platform that helped small businesses automate their customer service workflows using AI-driven chatbots. I know, sounds boring when I say it like that. But here's the thing, I saw a gap in the market. Big companies had massive customer service teams and sophisticated software. Small businesses had Karen, the owner's wife, answering emails at 11 p.m. and passive-aggressively updating the Facebook page. I wanted to bridge that gap. So at 23, with $700, a MacBook held together by duct tape and prayer, and absolutely zero support from my family, I launched SupportFlow. Year 1, I made $11,000 in revenue, spent $10,000 on server costs and software licenses, lived off ramen and hope. Year 2, I landed my first major client, a small e-commerce brand that sold eco-friendly pet supplies. They loved the platform, referred me to 3 other businesses, revenue $48,000. I hired my first employee, my roommate Jake, who was better at coding than I was and willing to work for equity and pizza. Year 3, we hit $200,000 in revenue. I moved out of my apartment with the broken heater and into a slightly less broken apartment with a door that locked. Year 4, $600,000. Year 5, we raised our first round of venture capital, $1.2 million. I cried in the bathroom of the investor's office after we signed the term sheet. Not pretty tears. Ugly, snotty, I can't believe this is real tears. By year 7, we had 40 employees, offices in New York and Austin, and revenue pushing $8 million annually. By year 10, we were at $23 million. And last year, year 12 of SupportFlow's existence, we closed our Series D, $45 million valuation. My personal net worth, after taxes and investor dilution, just north of $18 million. I know, it sounds like a fairy tale, and maybe in some ways it was. But here's what the fairy tales don't tell you. I missed weddings because I was pitching investors. I missed birthdays, my own, because I was putting out fires with clients. I had panic attacks in restaurant bathrooms and parking garages. I went to therapy twice a week just to keep my brain from eating itself. I gave everything I had to build something that mattered. And the whole time, my parents were a ghost story I told myself at 3 a.m. when the imposter syndrome got too loud. Would they be proud now? Would it ever be enough? I didn't know, because I never asked and they never called. Until 6 months ago. The first message came on a Tuesday. I was in back-to-back meetings all day, investor updates, product roadmap sessions, a call with a potential acquisition target. I didn't see Mum's voicemail until I was in my car at 7 p.m, stuck in traffic on the FDR, fantasizing about the overpriced salad I was going to pick up on the way home. I almost didn't listen, but something, guilt, curiosity, masochism, made me tap the notification. Mum's voice, bright and chirpy. "Hi, sweetie. It's Mum. I saw an article about your company in Business Insider. Can you believe it? Our Stephanie in Business Insider. And, well, Dad and I have been talking, and we really think we should sit down and discuss some things. Financial things. You know, now that you're doing so well, it's time to think about family and what you owe us for all the sacrifices we made raising you. Call me back, okay? Love you." I had to pull over, not because I was crying, because I was shaking with a very specific flavour of rage that starts in your stomach and crawls up your spine like acid. What I owe them. For 23 years, they didn't ask how I was doing, didn't ask if I needed help, didn't celebrate a single milestone, and now, after they read one article, after they saw a number with a lot of zeros, suddenly it's time to discuss family. I sat in my parked car for 20 minutes, listening to that message on repeat, and then I did something maybe I shouldn't have. I called them back. 2 weeks later, I'm standing on the front porch of my childhood home. It looks smaller, sadder. The paint is peeling, the lawn is patchy. The mailbox still says Chen in those stick-on letters that are half falling off. I feel like I'm 17 again, and I hate it. Mum opens the door before I can knock. She looks older. Obviously, it's been over 20 years, but it's more than that. She looks smaller, softer around the edges. She's wearing the same floral apron she wore when I was a kid, and for one disorienting second, I want to hug her. Then she says, "Stephanie, look at you, so fancy." I'm wearing jeans and a blazer, not fancy, just adult. Dad appears behind her, same stoic expression, same reading glasses perched on his nose. He nods, doesn't smile, just come in. The house smells the same, that specific combination of jasmine tea, old carpet, and whatever potpourri Mum keeps in the bathroom. We sit at the kitchen table, the wobbly one. The folded napkin is still under the leg. Mum pours tea. Nobody speaks. Finally, Dad clears his throat. "Stephanie, your mother and I are very proud of what you've accomplished." I wait. There's always a but. But, there it is. "We've been thinking. We sacrificed a lot to raise you. Good schools, food, a roof over your head. We gave you every opportunity." Mum jumps in, nodding eagerly. "And we never asked for anything in return. But now, well, we're getting older, and retirement isn't what we thought it would be, and we just think, it's time you give back." I take a sip of tea. It burns my tongue. I welcome the pain because it keeps me focused. "Give back," I repeat slowly. "What exactly does that mean?" Dad slides a piece of paper across the table. I kid you not, a printed spreadsheet. I pick it up. It's itemized. Food, clothing, school supplies, $40,000 housing, your share, $150,000 extracurriculars, and MISC, $25,000 emotional labor and parental investment, $85,000. Total, $300,000. At the bottom, in Dad's cramped handwriting, suggested repayment, $500,000 to account for inflation and missed investment opportunities. I stare at this piece of paper for a full 30 seconds. Then I start laughing. Not a cute laugh. A unhinged, disbelieving, is this real life laugh. Mum looks uncomfortable. Dad looks annoyed. This isn't funny, Stephanie. I wipe my eyes. You're right. It's not funny. It's insane. Mum, we just want what's fair. Fair? I cut her off, and my voice is sharper than I intended. You want to talk about fair? Let's talk about fair. I pull out my phone. Open my notes app. I've been preparing for this. You want an itemized list? Fine. Let's do this properly. I start reading. Emotional support, ages 0 to 18. Every time I came to you with an idea, a dream, a goal, and you shut it down. Every time you made me feel like wanting more was a character flaw. Let's call that priceless, but we'll estimate the therapy costs to undo that damage at around $60,000. I've been going twice a week for 8 years. Mum opens her mouth. I hold up a hand. I'm not done. Lost financial opportunities. When I asked you to co-sign a small business loan when I was 24, just $5,000, you said no because it was too risky. I had to go with a predatory lender at 18% interest. Cost me an extra $4,000 in interest payments. Let's add that. Missed family support. You didn't come to my college graduation. You didn't visit me once in New York. You didn't call when I was hospitalized for exhaustion in year 3 of building my company. I had Jake, my employee, listed as my emergency contact because I couldn't list you. Emotional damages, incalculable. Dad's face is red now. We were working. So was I, Dad. I was working 3 jobs and building a company, and I still would have shown up for you. Silence. I keep going. You taught me that love is conditional, that I was only worth your pride if I played it safe, that ambition was foolish and dreams were expensive, and I should shrink myself to fit your definition of success. My voice cracks. I hate that it cracks. But I keep going. And now you read one article, see one number, and suddenly I'm worth your time. Suddenly you're proud. Suddenly I owe you. I stand up, slide a piece of paper across the table. It's my own invoice, printed this morning. Invoice for emotional and financial damages. Therapy, $60,000. Lost loan, co-sign opportunity, $4,000. Emotional neglect, estimated, $100,000. 23 years of missed birthdays, holidays and milestones. Priceless total. Due $164,000 plus a genuine apology. Payment plan not accepted. This debt is forgiven because, unlike you, I don't charge the people I'm supposed to love unconditionally. I watch Dad read it. His jaw tightens. Mum's eyes fill with tears. Stephanie, that's not fair. You're right, I say quietly. It's not. But neither is this. I tap their invoice. You don't get to show up now and claim credit for my success. You don't get to rewrite history and pretend you were supportive. You weren't. And that's fine. I made peace with it. I built my life anyway. But you don't get to profit from it. Dad stands up. Get out. I smile. It's not a nice smile. Gladly. But before I leave, I pull one more thing from my bag. An envelope. I place it on the table. This is for you. Mum picks it up with shaking hands. Opens it. Inside, a check for $50,000 and a note. Mum reads it aloud, voice barely a whisper. This is not repayment. This is a gift. Use it for your retirement. Fix the roof. Take a vacation. I don't care. But understand this. I'm giving it to you because I choose to, not because I owe you. The difference matters. I hope someday you'll understand that loving your kid means believing in them, even when they scare. You, especially then. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done waiting for you to be proud. I'm proud of myself, and that's enough. Stephanie. The kitchen is silent, except for Mum's quiet crying. Dad stares at the check like it might bite him. I turn to leave. Mum's voice stops me at the door. Stephanie, wait. I don't turn around. I hope you enjoy the money, Mum. I really do. But I'm not coming back here again. Not until you can see me as more than a bank account or a disappointment. I'm a person. I'm your daughter, and I deserved better. I walk out, close the door, get in my Tesla, and drive away from that avocado greenhouse for the last time. Here's the thing about revenge. The best kind isn't loud. It's not cruel. It's just clarity. I didn't yell. I didn't insult them. I just held up a mirror and made them look at themselves. And I walked away, knowing I don't need their validation anymore. I built something extraordinary, not because of them, not even in spite of them, just because I could. And that is the real victory. If this story resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe for more stories about people who turned their pain into power. Drop a comment and tell me, have you ever had to stand up to family who underestimated you? How did it feel? And if you know someone who needs to hear this story, someone who's been told they're not enough, share this video with them. Sometimes the best revenge is just proving them wrong and living well. I'll see you in the next one.